Mathematics Advanced Subsidiary Level. Paper 2. We're going to start with paper 2. But before I start with the first question, it's very important that you always read this and that you highlight a few things on this page. I didn't do it in the previous question paper, so please remember it. I didn't highlight it to you. Okay, so let's start. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger that you see better. Okay, let's start here. Candidates answer on the question paper in the spaces provided. Now, on the examination report, which the markers compiled and then they send it to the school, they are saying, and this is very, very important, candidates should be discouraged to work in pencil first and then to rewrite their work in pen. They often do not copy the pencil properly and some accuracy is lost after the pencil is erased. But here comes the very, very important part. Centers must not provide any additional paper. So the schools must not, don't ask for extra paper. Candidates do their work on these papers, the additional papers, and then just copy the answers, which result in the loss of all the marks for the specific question. This is very, very important because complete methods should be shown at all times. I'll show you now. Okay, so that's write your center number, candidate's number, name in the top of this page. Okay, also take note, write in dark blue or black pen. You may use a soft pencil for any diagrams or graphs. Okay, do not use Tipp-Ex correction fluid. Okay. Do not write in the margin for the examinations used. So that little extra space, do not write. Continue at the bottom. Okay. And then, answer all questions. Formula and notations list is provided at the back of the question. So from page 17 for your use. If working is needed for any question, it must be shown below, or where working is indicated. This is very, very important. I want to read you on the report again. It should be noted that the emphasis in AS is more on the method and the mathematical process than on the final solution. So complete methods should be shown at all times. If you just write the answer, you will get no marks. You must show the method, how you come to the answer. Okay, so let's just go on. The next one, this is the marks, non-programmable calculator. I think it's sometimes slipped that people take in others' calculators, but actually they lose marks. It was noted that some candidates, this stands in the report, use calculators that can differentiate and integrate. Candidates who use these must be taught to show all the steps of their work. No marks are awarded if only answers are given. So this is very important that you know that. Okay, now this is also for me very important. If the degree of accuracy is not specified in the question and if the answer is not exact, that means it doesn't stop on the calculator. Okay, or it's a square root 18 or something like that. The answer must be to 3 significant figures. Give answers for angle size to 1 decimal place, that's degrees. But if the angle is in radians, it must be to 3 significant figures. Not 3 decimal places, 3 significant figures. Unless a different level of accuracy is specified in the question. And for pi, either use the calculator or use 3,142. That is very important. So make sure, I think sometimes you are so used to it and you don't read it again. So just read it again so that you don't lose unnecessary marks. Okay, but let's start with the first question. I'm just going to take it a bit down. Okay, I already highlight for you a few things. I think I'm going to highlight it again. Okay, let's start. A polynomial, this is the polynomial, okay, where m and n are constants, they are unknown at this stage. the polynomial leaves a remainder of 45. Okay, here comes the first one. A remainder of 45 when it's divided by x plus 2. And leaves a remainder of 21 when it's divided by x minus 2. This is a very, very nice first question. Very simple. But I always like to take you back to the textbook. So let's go back to the textbook. This is the AS-Level Mathematics textbook, y equals mx plus c. Now on page 382, there, 382, you will find example 19, which is almost 100% the method. Okay, so let's start. Find m and n given, there's the polynomial, and it's divided by, okay, and we're going to write x, the remainder is 4, and when it's divided by x plus 2, the remainder is 16. I sometimes just like that you don't get confused with the numbers. And there is the polynomial. Okay, I'm just very quickly, because it's very basics, but it's always, you make fx, you make that, you give it a name almost. Okay, so there is the polynomial. So when fx is divided by x minus 1, now can you remember what it we do is we make x, I just want to get my pen correct. Just want to get space now. So you put it equal to 0. Can you remember? And then you take the x over, and it's 1. So that's why they got the 1 there. And when it's divided, it's 4. So now you substitute 1 in the place of x, and it's equal to 4. Okay, that's the answer. And just simplify. Then you do the same, but just remember now it's x plus 2. Now can you remember? It was like this, and you put it equal to 0. And if you take the 2 over, it's negative 2. And that's where the negative 2. So if I substitute negative 2, I will get 16. And that's exactly what I did. And there is my equation. And now I'm just basically going to solve it simultaneously. So if I solve it simultaneously, this is just making one of the terms the same number, different signs. That's why I multiply with 2. I get 6, and then I just substitute. Very, very easy, but you can go and refresh your memory. Let's go back to the question paper. Okay, let's start. Now I'm going to do this one. Okay, let's start. I'm going to say let. You can say let, but it's fine. It's not necessary. I'm just in the textbook, write it very precise to make it more formal, and also to get you used to write things in mathematical correct. Okay. But if it's x plus 2, you can see, so I can already see, if I'm going to substitute, I will continue with blue again. But if I substitute negative 2, I will get a remainder of 45. Okay, and that is just going to give me then negative 2 plus m negative 2 squared, please concentrate on that exponents, negative 2 plus 5, and that's going to be equal to 45. And let's make this is equation 1. It's good to number it. And now I'm just going to simplify. So this is negative 8 times 2, so that's going to be negative 16. And that is going to be 4m positive, okay? And that's negative 2n plus 5, and that's equal to 45. Okay, and if I simplify this now, it's 4m minus 2n, and that's going to be 45 plus 16 minus 5, and that's going to give me 56. And that is equation 1 still. Okay, now let's do the same when the remainder of 21, when it's divided by x minus 2. Okay, so let's start there. If it's going to be, and now remember, if it goes over, if you put it equal to 0, so it's going to be 2, but then the remainder is going to be 21. So let's again substitute in there. So it's going to be 2, and now it's 2 to the power 3 plus m 2 squared plus n 2 plus 5, and that's equal now to 21. This is going to be equation 2. If I simplify, this is 8 times 2, 16, plus 4m, plus 2n, plus 5 equals 21. And now I can simplify. So I can just, this is the 4m plus the 2n. This becomes 21. If I subtract it on the other side, this side becomes 0. And this is still equation 2. And now I'm going to solve equation 1 and 2 simultaneously. Okay, simultaneously. Oh, this pen. Let's just get it correct. Okay, so basically I'm just going to write it down. So I write down both. So it's going to be 4m, and then I look at it. 2n equals 56, and 4m plus 2n. Oh, this is a very nice one. This is a very nice one, because look, what I wanted to show you, I can see that this is already the same number in different signs. So this, without multiplying anything, it's just going to cancel out if I subtract. I'll add it up. So this is going to be, okay, let's just get my pen correct. This is going to be 8m, and this is going to be 56. And then I divide by 8, I divide by 8, so I get, so therefore m is going to be 7. And I just substitute, okay, I substitute m equals 7. You don't have to write this in. I just do it for the video. In equation either 1 or 2. Doesn't matter. And I'm not going to do both. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite it. I'm just going to go 4. And now in the place of m, I'm going to put a 7 minus 2n equals 56. As I said, you can also substitute in equation 2. Okay, so I'm going to get 28 minus 2n equals 56. And then I'm just simplifying this. So this is 28. I'm just taking it to the other side due to the negative. Okay, but it doesn't matter. And then at the end, if I'm just, and then I divide by 2. And I divide by 2, so I get 28. And I divide by 2, negative 28. And if I divide it by 2, I get that the value of n is negative 14. You can leave it like that. But just for the video, I say, therefore, m is equal to 7 and n is equal to negative 14. Question number 1b. Solve the equation. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger that you see better. 6x to the power 3 minus 5x squared minus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. This is a cubic equation. So again, let me first take you to the textbook. Okay, now if you look, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger. Let's just see where in the AS-Level Mathematics textbook. On page 387, okay, you will find cubic equations. Now let's just go. So there is a typical example. Let's just go through it. So use the factor theorem by trial and error. So you start. It's usually good to start with -1, +1, -2, +2, -3. Usually they look at this last also. Therefore, the tester consider the factors of the constant term. That's why they was looking for 1 and 3. And -4. So if it was a 2, they will look for 1 and 2. Okay, then you test until you get that the remainder is a what? It's a 0. And then you say it's a factor. Okay, then you do long division, or you can do the short division to find the quadratic expression. Okay, And after you do that, and remember please, I'll show you now the short one again. It's actually very easy. So you just bring it down, you multiply, you write. Okay, you calculate that. Okay, and then after that, you just write it like that, and then you factorize, and then you have your three factors. But because it's an equation, you put it equal to 0. So it's either this equals 0, or this equals 0, or this equals 0. And then you have your three answers. Okay, let's go back to the question. Okay, so if you look at this, now if I'm doing this one, again, I'm going to start by saying let fx equals 6x to the power 3 minus 5x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, now I'm going to test. Now, test 1 and 2, but I'm starting. Okay, so I start with 1. So this is actually my test. So I say 6, and I'm going to say 1 to the power 3 minus 5, 1 squared minus 3, 1 plus 2. And that will give me 6 minus 5 minus 3 plus 2. And look, that's 8 and 8, and that's 0, and that's excellent. So therefore, I can say x minus 1 is a factor. Okay, now I'm going to show you both methods. I can do now long division, which I'm going to do here. So I'm going to say 6x3 minus 5x squared minus 3x plus 2. And that's going to be x minus 1. And if I divide that, what do I get? 6x squared. And then I multiply, so I get 6x to the power 3 minus 6x squared. And don't forget, then I change the signs. Now, I like to change the signs like that. Okay, so that cancel, and that is going to result in just 1 x squared. And then I divide, and I get plus x. And then I multiply. Now, you can bring that one already first down. And if I multiply, I get x squared. And if I multiply, I get negative x. Okay, and I change my signs. Okay, and then I'm going to say, if I simplify this, negative 3 plus 1, that will be negative 2x. And then I divide, and I get negative 2. And I multiply, and I get negative 2x. And I multiply, and I get plus 2. And I change my signs, but you can already see 0, 0. Okay, I want you, just on this side, for people say, oh, this is too long. No, I don't want to work so long. I want to do it faster. I know the short method. I can do the short method. So I'm just saying or. So then I basically just take out the coefficients. Okay, so I'm going to have 6. I'm going to have negative 5. I'm going to have negative 3. And I'm going to have 2. Okay. And what is my factor there? It's going to be 1. Remember, you still take it over equal to 0, so it's going to be x equals 1. Now, the first one you just bring down. So always remember, just bring down 6. So I multiply, and I get 6. I subtract, and I get 1. I multiply, and I get 1. I subtract, and I get negative 2. I multiply, and I get negative 2, and that's usually showing you the remainder is 0. And this is going to be x squared, and this is going to be x. And this is exactly the same as you got there. So if you are familiar to this method, then please use it. Okay, but now I continue. So I'm sitting now with the, I actually got this now. Okay. I got the x minus 1, and I got the 6x squared plus x minus 2. Okay, and now I'm just going to factorize. So if I'm going to factorize, I'm just going to say, Okay, this is easy, so let's make it 3 and 2. This is in group B, as I call it, 2 and 1. So this is 4 minus 3. So 4 minus 3 is going to give me that 1. And the biggest overcross, can you see that is the biggest overcross? That is going to get a plus and a minus and an x and an x. And there is my 2 brackets. So that part you can do in pencil. So basically, I'm just then going to say, okay, that's easy. So it's 3x, let's just write it better, 3x plus 2 and 2x minus 1. Okay, and now, because if you look at the question, I was just treating it as an expression, but then in the place of fx, they put a 0. So it's actually an equation, not an expression. I just used the... So if they in the exam ask you just to factorize, then please remember you will stop at this step. But it's not an expression, it's an equation. So they put in the place of fx a 0. And now you put all 3 equal to 0. You don't have to do this long step. I'm just doing it now for the video. So therefore, you get x is equal to 1, or you get 3x. Okay, I'm going to make that one easy. So it's negative 2 over 3, because you can see if it goes over negative 2, divide 3, or you can get x is equal to a half, and that. I forgot to show you the marks, and I'm just giving you an idea where they will give marks. So I'm just going back at the 2 questions. Now, according to what I understand, they will give you a mark if you come to this one. So if you did the substitution and then you came to this one, say equation 1. And if you come to this equation, say equation 2, they will give you a mark. And then they gave you, if you came to 7, a mark. And if you came to negative 14, you get the mark. So that was, oh, it was just 3 marks, I see. So basically, I'm just going to control. I gave you now, oh, now. So basically, I know where. They are just going to, if you have both correct, if you have both answers correct, that one, then you will only get 1. Okay, so that was. And then the next, I'm just going to see where they gave the marks here. Let's just go by here. Okay, so for this one, if you got that first factor, they will give you a mark. If you come to the quadratic part, yes, they will give you a mark. If you come to the 3 factors, okay, so there where you break it up, they will give you a mark. And then if you got your final, all three final answers, you will get an answer. And that will add up to 4. Very easy, very nice question to start with in this question paper. Just take note, I'll see now that was not a negative. It was just my pen slipping a little bit there. That was just a 6. Okay. It was a nice question to start with. Let's start with question number 2. Showing all necessary working, prove that, and there you see the integration. So you must already know we are at further integration. Because remember, this question paper is part 2. So in the AS-Level Mathematics textbook, it will start with chapter 8. So it will be the last 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, last 6 chapters. Okay, so I see that it's definite integration. I see the 4 and a 1, and then I see this formula, and it's equal to ln 81. So show all necessary working, prove that. So they want me to actually simplify this and get this as answer. Okay. Now, I'm going to take you first to the textbook, because I think you see the rule a little bit more clear there, and then I'll take you to the formula sheet also, because make sure you know the rules. This is just straightforward integration. Okay, so let me first take you to the textbook. And as I said, this was in the textbook. It's further integration, and you will find this on first the formula on page 522. So let's just look here. I showed you. Okay, In the AS-Level Mathematics textbook, y equals mx plus c, page 522, or you can go to the summary page. You just see the formula very clear. So if there's only an x, then it will just be ln x plus c. Please don't forget. If it's indefinite, if that means if there's downstanding numbers there, then you must always plus c. But if there's numbers, the c's will cancel out. But the reason why I show you this is I want you to see this there. If there's more than just an x, so the value in front of x, doesn't matter if it's in the first term, as you look for the coefficient in front of x, and you say 1 over that coefficient, and then ln, and then the bracket plus c. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so let me take you to the formula sheet. I want you to take, I'm going back to the question paper. Okay, there's the formula sheet. There's integration. The problem for me here was just on the formula sheet, you will just see the basic one. That's the only one I see here. Okay, so that will help you, but I think it's more clear in the textbook now. I just want to say this, and I will repeat it in these videos. Learn your formulas. It's a lot, but it's not so many. You learn books full of biology, books full of history, and then when it comes to just memorizing one formula, you're sometimes lazy. I think the formula sheet must just be to help you to just control yourself. Okay, so that's what I showed you on the formula sheet. I want to go back to the document. Okay, and I'm going to start the question. Okay, so if I'm also, there was another one, before I start the question, there was another one I want to show you. Let's just look, let's just finish the textbook stories. Okay, so if you look at the textbook, I just want, oh, here is the equation. I think I just want to show you this one still. This is more now in an example. So on page 523, do you see there? There's an example. So can I just show you quickly? This is example 8. And then basically, if you look here, you can just say, okay, do you see that? You're just going to integrate. So it's 1 over 2 because there's a 2 in front of the x. The coefficient of x is 2. Then ln, and then you're just going to substitute it in there. Okay, and you're going to get your answer. Okay, I just wanted to show you. I want to show you this one also because it can happen. Please don't say 1 over 3. It's not 1 over that first. It's the coefficient in front of x. Okay, and in that case, if you look, so this is going to be 1 over negative 2. And it's just due to that 4, but it was negative 1 over 2. And then just with that constant, multiply with that 4. And that's why it ended up negative 4 over 2. Okay, so basically I just want, always remember, grab the sign in front. So I just wanted to make sure that you don't make that kind of mistake when it comes to the examination. Okay, let's go back to the question paper. As I said, according to me, not so difficult. Okay, please don't use the whole thing. They say show all your working, prove that. So it's almost, proof is always left-hand side equals right-hand side. If you want, you can even start by saying, okay, left-hand side, and I'm going to start there. Okay, so I'm going to say 4 and 1 and 8 and there. And this was very nice of them. They didn't say 1 minus 2x, which would have made it more difficult. So just be aware, the second year, they can maybe go a little bit more difficult. Okay, so if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to write this. I'm going to integrate now. So that was like that 4 in the textbook example. So it's 8 over that 2, because it's 1 over 2 times 8. Okay, so, and then it's my ln. And then, don't forget, it's only the bracket. So, 2x plus 1, that's my bracket. Okay, don't see because it's definite. and it's 4. The c's will cancel out. Okay, now I'm going to simplify. So this is going to be 4, and now I'm just going, I can already start with the substituting. So ln, and now I'm just going to be, that's 2, 4. Can I just show you, in the textbook, I didn't show, in a later on, I use absolute values. Okay, so, and I think I showed it in another question, and it's because to say it's just the positive part. But I don't think in this question we have to go so deep to indicate, because logs can only be positive. Okay, but for now, I'm just going to continue with this question. Okay, so this, and then don't forget minus, and now I substitute 1. Okay, and don't forget your bracket there, it will help. So I'm going to have 4, and now I'm going to have ln, and this is 8 plus 1, so it's 9. Okay, minus 4 ln, and as I said, I use sometimes the absolute value bars because logs, lns can only be positive, but for now, I don't think it's going to have an influence in this question. So 4 ln, so this is going to be 2 plus 1, so it's 3. Okay, and now I can take out the 4 as a common factor. Okay, so I'm sitting with ln 9, just to get rid of that, 9 minus ln 3. And now I use again my quotient law. Can you still remember that? Of logs. So I'm going to have 4, and then I have ln, and I have the quotient, it's the division, so it's 9. Please, people, don't make unnecessary, unmathematical mistakes by saying ln 3 over ln 9 over ln 3. No. In the minus, there's 2 words, as I can say. And in the division, there's only 1 ln word. So they will penalize you. You cannot write unmathematical things. Okay, or use the rules incorrectly. So the way of writing is very important. And then it's ln 3. And now I'm going to use the power law. So I'm busy with the laws of logs. And I'm just going to jump up. And that's going to be ln 81. And you can end up by saying the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. Something like that. Okay. And where are you going to get your marks? If you're doing that correct, it's actually like following the rule there correct. Okay. Integrating it correctly. And then if you substitute correctly, and then some of you stopped there and you just got this, you didn't know, but then you have to show that you can establish that answer, the one that they gave you there. Okay, so it's actually using that power law. Okay, and that was actually also not so difficult.